What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Zcash today, ZEC, USD. It is the 15th day of November, and here we are sitting at about $685 right now. We've got 8 hours and 33 minutes left in this day. We have pulled back quite a bit, but as we've said, really throughout this whole range, these type of pullbacks are actually very normal, even in the midst of spectacular moves to the upside like this, right? I very much throughout this whole drop was very confident that we would see higher prices. And I think for the most part, I think most people were not on board with that thought up until today. I think today now everyone's coming around to the idea, oh, Zcash is right back at its relative high. Oh, it's increasing in volume on a daily basis. Okay, maybe we do have more to grow, right? I feel just as silly here as I did here for being bearish, right? We weren't bearish here, and we weren't bearish here. We were actually bullish at both of those lows. We've been pretty damn good with Zcash, guys, and I think that the record speaks for itself. But looking at this here again, just keep it in mind going forward. This is actually a really good lesson. I think Zcash is a really good lesson for what the average altcoin, maybe not what the average altcoin is going to do, but I think what the average crypto investor will experience, because there will be coins that every single one of you watching this right now, you're going to buy a coin down here, and we're all going to be part of a coin that does something like this at some point. But your journey is going to be different, right? You're not going to buy here and then still hold it here. Maybe you will, and hopefully you do. But most of you might sell here, or you might sell here, or you might sell here, or somewhere along the way, right? If you want to squeeze a lemon for all it's worth, again, remember the difference between, in crypto at least, the difference between somebody who has a 19, almost a 20x move and somebody who has a 8x move can literally just be the difference of when you sell. That's it. That's the difference, right? And we've all been there. If you haven't been there, trust me, you will be, where you sell something before it actually does its miracle thing, or you sell it halfway through the move, or you sell it almost completely there, but then it keeps going up higher, and then you're left in this position where you're like, do I buy here? I sold here. Like, what do I do? Not financial advice, not a financial advisor, but anybody that's sold Zcash, anybody who's out of Zcash right now, my thoughts are it's not a good time to buy. We're not in good time to buy territory, right? Because what's left for this move, what I believe is left, is not going to be that impressive. Let's say I'm wrong, and let's say it doesn't top off where we think it's going to top off. Let's say it does go all the way up to 1400. That's a 100% move from here, and that's great. But that's a maybe. That might be, and at the most glorious capabilities of this move might be where you go, but I doubt that you do. I'm very confident that we won't even break above 1,000. We probably don't even break much above 900, if at all. We have like 30% or more to go. And while that's nice, if you want to get in and out, go for it. But just understand, even on the road up there, we could still pull back from here. We could come down, find a higher low, we could pull back, and then it's sometime later this month that we're even up at these levels, right? Just because we do expect that the price will go above 850 but below 950, somewhere in that range, doesn't mean that it's a great time to buy now. Because if you buy here, what if it pulls back? What if it pulls back again? What if it's 2 weeks, 3 weeks later that we actually make that move, right? And you're just trying to catch a quick little 20 to 30% pop, right? This is not a good time to get in, right? We said it before back here. This is not a good time to buy. We said it down here. This is a great time to buy, right? I thought the low was here. We were off by a little bit, but that's okay. You can't be right every single time. I've been wrong before. I will be wrong again, and keep that in mind. I am forecasting higher prices, but I've been wrong before. I can be wrong again. Go ahead and watch any of my long-term calls for Bitcoin or for Onyx coin for prime examples, right? Anyways, the long-term calls will be proven right eventually. Just got to be patient, okay? Weekly time frame. Zooming out here, we're looking at Coinbase because it has volume. We're going to go into the short-term stuff in a second, but if we take last cycle's high to the bear market low, our 1272 is right up here around $900. I think that's where we're going to go, okay? Right there. Depending on what chart you use, Coinbase says 920. The standard chart on TradingView, the all-time history chart, says 877. What's 40, 50 bucks between friends, right? It's not that big of a deal, but we're very near the top. I just don't think that we're done yet, right? This fib is really what's giving me the confidence to believe that we go higher. That also, in culmination with this fib here, the money zone, as I've coined it, the 2886 to the 3113 extension, this does encapsulate just, it's a little bit above this line, but it's pretty perfect, just right in this area. It makes sense to me that we not only can go higher, but will go higher, likely. I want to look at the short-term stuff. I want to look at the 1 hour time frame. We'll zoom out from there, and then we'll come back to this weekly perspective, okay, at the end of the video. And hit that like button if you haven't. Subscribe if you haven't. $682 is the price right now. Okay. We moved down a good bit, had your little correction, your little A, B, C correction, little Harry Potter lightning of truth there, and now you're ready to move higher. It looks like that's what you're doing. You decayed in volume, and as you're building now in price, you're actually building in volume, and that's good. That's what you want to see, right? Building with volume, decaying without it. We love to see it here. You actually had a lot of volume on this candle, but you didn't really go anywhere, so that's okay. Again, keep in mind here, we're forecasting higher prices, but we very well could pull back from here. And I wouldn't be surprised if we did, really, because we're at a point of resistance here and a point of resistance here. But let's just see, okay? 1 hour. Oh, I don't have the right indicators on here. Let's do this. Hold on. That'll fix it right there. There we go. So the RSI is bullish overall. I mean, it's very bullish, right? You got higher lows here, higher highs here. You're at an area that makes sense to bounce. I could see you coming lower. I'm not getting enough signals from the RSI to suggest that we do come down from here. All I will say is if we go lower, it's not a big deal. If we were to go lower, how low might we go? You know, from a low here to a high there, we could go down to $592. We could go down to $500 itself, but I highly doubt we break below 500. Yes, we're at 677. We could inevitably move all the way up to something that's above $900, but first go all the way back down to 500 and then come up. You know, it can happen. We can form higher lows, and it's okay if we do, right? Anyways, and anybody who's like, we can't go to 500. If we go to 500, C-Zar, we're going to break out of this trend. Who cares? Who cares if we broke out of that trend? Right? It's probably the best time to buy is once you break out of that trend. Let's see. Right here, whenever we broke this trend, was that a terrible thing? No, that wasn't, right? It was actually probably a really good area to buy. If you bought here, even if you bought right below the line, you would have at some point had profits to take, let alone if you just waited for any prices that were below that, right? Here, let's just see. Do we have another example of this maybe? Let me see. Without all the other details. Maybe not another example. All I'm really trying to say is that if we go below this trend line, if anybody's looking at this as a trend line here, right, this little white line right here, if you're looking at this and thinking this has to hold, it doesn't. We can go to 500 and still find support. I don't know if we do. I'm not calling for that. That's not the call. That's more of just making you aware. We're at 681. The call is inevitably we're going to go to $900, right? It's the same call that it's been throughout all this, okay? And I say 900, it's more like 850 to 950, somewhere in that range, right? 877 to 930 to be very specific, but and we'll go over that as this video continues. But we can pull back, we can form higher lows, and we can break this trend line and still do all those things. Okay, just making you aware, because when people hear, oh, we're going to go higher, and then we do anything else besides that, people freak out, they sell at the worst time, and then the price goes up, and then they FOMO in at the top where they should be selling, and then they sell where they should be buying. But anyways, 1 hour RSI not giving us any signals that we're going to come down. We could come down and it would be okay, but overall the RSI looks positive. The stochastics look positive. The MACD also looks positive overall. But it's the 1 hour time frame. It's a little bit less significant. The 4 hour time frame here, building volume as we're moving up, we like to see it. We want to get volume as we're breaking out as well. The 4 hour time frame here, you are overbought. You did get overbought. You're bouncing off the overbought zone, which is nice. 24 minutes left. I mean, the 4 hour RSI, if we're speaking bluntly, it makes me think that we do have more or less immediate continuation. I wouldn't be surprised if we did continue to move up higher between now and the end of the day with this. The stochastics are bullish, and the MACD just crossed above the zero. Now, with the 4 hour MACD, for whatever reason it is, we've noticed this across the board with various cryptos. It doesn't mean this has to happen, but we've seen it happen a good like 90% of the time. When you cross above the zero, typically you consolidate for about 1 to 3 days. Okay, like 1.5 to 3 days, typically. So we crossed above it. We have a high point here. Might we consolidate here for 1.5 to 3 days? If that's the truth, if that is what we're going to do, well, we're already about half a day in right now. We might have, maybe it's Sunday or Monday that we start moving up again. So if we consolidate here, I wouldn't be surprised. It's the weekend. It's Saturday. Tomorrow's Sunday. It's the weekend. We might have a boring little day between today and tomorrow. I really wouldn't be surprised at all if within that time we ranged between here and $592. We go right below 600. That makes people capitulate and panic sell, because for some reason 600 is this magic number in our heads that it has to hold. As long as we're above 600, we're good. But once we break below it, then we're bad. But no, probably not. We probably hold support there and then move up higher. At this point in time, again, $500 to $520 is a possibility. I don't think it's going to happen. But I do think we could go down to 592 and then bounce from there. And the main reason I think that is because while the RSI suggests that we go higher, and maybe we do go higher, maybe we do go a little bit higher from here, the MACD would suggest that we're going to consolidate a little bit. So maybe we do both. Maybe we move up a little bit higher and you consolidate back to something around $600, if not just below there. That's not me saying that you have to. If you're waiting on prices to go to $600 to buy, you might keep waiting. It might just go. You know what I mean? I don't know. But we could see a higher high here. We could see a higher high based off of this and still come back down to this level. Just be aware of that, okay? Don't panic if we go below $600. It's okay. I'm not really seeing any signs that suggest that other than this fib, the 382 being right there, and the MACD just crossed above the zero, and typically we do consolidate for like a day and a half to 3 days after that for whatever reason. And again, I want to be very clear here because I know there's a lot of aspiring technical analysts that are watching this video. This is something that you won't find in the textbooks. This is not something that is grounded in any kind of fundamental technical analysis by the way it's supposed to be done. It's just something that I've noticed over the past couple of months, which is that when we cross above the zero on the 4-hour MACD for whatever reason in crypto, that typically promotes consolidation. Typically. It doesn't have to be right at the cross. It could be before, it could be after, but typically we do see a day and a half to 3 days of consolidation, if not more, if not less, but somewhere in that kind of time frame. So again, it's the weekend, it's Saturday. We have about a day and a half left of this weekend. Might it make sense then that we consolidate between now and until Monday? Maybe we do. And then Monday, next week, we start to rally. Where we are now is actually really cool because we got 8 hours, 21 minutes left in this day. We've got a day left after that in this week. And we've come up and we've closed this week green, right? And you guys remember how crucial that was because closing this week green gets rid of this bearish divergence we had on the weekly RSI. Just because we've gotten rid of it doesn't mean now we're going through the roof, now we're going to the moon. No, it's kind of funny how this happens actually. It's like you'll have bearish divergence, you'll have it every step of the way, and then as soon as you get rid of it, mark my words, as soon as you get rid of it, that's when you move down. It's as soon as you get the higher. It's not when you have lower highs. It's not when you have bearish divergence. It's when you get rid of it. That's when you move down. Mark my words. That's probably exactly what's going to happen. And we'll close this week. I bet next week we have 1 day, 9 hours left in this week. I don't think that we make a push. I could be wrong. I could be wrong as far as my timing goes, but I don't think we make a push to 850 to 950 between today and the end of this week. Okay, I don't think that we do. I think that'll be more for next week. So next week is likely the top week. We will top off with a double top in our weekly RSI. We will top off with bearish divergence in our stochastics, and our MACD is just crazy phenomenal. Actually, it looks incredible. But I do think that we have a little bit higher to go. The daily crossed back green, we're probably going to form some bearish divergence on our daily MACD, daily stochastics, and the daily RSI. We continue to grow. We will have bearish divergence on the daily RSI as well. Okay. And again, don't be alarmed if we close right above this high, and then that's whenever we move down. Sometimes it's right as soon as you get rid of the bearish divergence that you actually make a move down. But I digress. Going over the levels now, the key levels and the fibs to watch. Okay, we're on Coinbase here. I want to use the all-time history chart. Looking at this here on a weekly time frame. So from a high here to a low here, the expectation is we will not go, for me at least, the expectation is we will not go above this level. Okay, if we do, if we go above 927, barely. Okay, we will not go too much above there. I doubt we close above there. We take in last cycle's high to the bear market low, and the 1272 again here for whatever reason on Coinbase it's at 900 and something, but here it's 877. Something up in that range makes the most sense. With all of this being said, understand I've been wrong before, I can be wrong again, and I could be wrong now. This area between 712 to 927 has been the area that we've targeted, and you have made 2 prods into it now. Everything I've said to me, and maybe to you, makes sense that we would go higher. To me, it makes sense. Just because it makes sense doesn't mean it has to. We could be at a point of resistance here, and that's why, again, being so close to $700, I would advocate for nobody to buy this thing. In fact, if you're looking to buy, if you want to buy Zcash, not financial advice, not a financial advisor, but you're probably at a better point to buy Dash than Zcash right now, right? Dash has a lot more to go. You just pulled back a lot. You literally just had a pullback that was 60%, okay? And you back tested prior resistance points. Your Dash right now is equivalent to where Zcash was, back here, in my opinion, right? It's so if you're fingers on the trigger, you can't help yourself, you want to buy Zcash here just for this little pump, I would encourage you to shift it over to Dash, because even if both of these pull back, even if they both have a little bit of volatility before they move higher, Dash likely moves higher anyways. It'll be more worth your time. Not financial advice, not a financial advisor, just a thought. I'm going to make a Dash video after this if you're curious. But again, I'm just saying here, it's very possible with this look right now, this could be a double top. We could have bearish divergence right now. Maybe this is all she wrote and we go down. If you're counting on prices above $900 or even around there to come in, you could be sourly mistaken. I am not God. I am not Crypto Gandhi. I do not know everything, and I've been wrong before. I will be wrong again. But from what I believe, beyond just the fact that we have this fib here, the money zone lining up right there, beyond just the fact that we have the 1272 here lining up, which, by the way, this fib here, this one makes me absurdly confident that we have more to go, that we will go to 870. It's extremely uncommon to stop right here. You typically at least hit the 1272, if not higher, okay? So I'm pretty confident based off of this fib. But beyond these fibs, we also have our prior high from the 2018 cycle, 2017, 2018 bull run, right? Really, it's like 2015 to 2017. But anyways, from that high, that's also an area of which we could find significance at, right? It makes sense that we would go there. Could we go higher? Sure. I'm not really forecasting that, and I do think that Zcash will go higher inevitably, but what I'm expecting here for Zcash is not financial advice, not a financial advisor, is that we'll move up a little bit more. We will consolidate likely for the rest of the year, and then going into January, we'll start to move up again. While Zcash consolidates, I think the rest of crypto as a whole is going to rally. It's going to rally really hard, and anybody and everybody who got caught buying Zcash at the top is going to miss that rally. Not only are you going to miss that rally, but you're probably going to suffer through a drop that is anywhere from 30% or more. It's very common, and probably or more is the option, right? Think about it like this from a daily perspective. We just dropped, oops, let me see here. We just dropped like 40% with this most recent drop, right? From a high to a low, we literally just dropped 42%. And this was in the midst of a move that will push us higher. What happens when we actually top off on a move that overall was, let's just say since February, an overall move that was a 30x or a 40x move? What happens, and maybe this isn't the move itself, let's measure from here. What happens since August? You've seen a 25x while the rest of the markets move down. What kind of correction is that going to be? My assumption is if this was just a correction on the way higher, and that was 43%, my assumption would be that we see a greater than 43% correction, right? Probably notably greater, okay? So being at, let's say we stop at 877, right? That's the 1272, that's where the fib is, it's like right there. Let's say we drop and maybe put it a little bit higher so that we're conservative on our drop, right? Or no, let's not be conservative. Let's be overestimative, I suppose. 871 there. If we were to drop more than 43%, then we likely go below these lows. We likely will go below these lows. And I would think that we see anything from like a 50 to 70% correction. Perhaps we go all the way back down to, prices that are below 400, below 300 even is very possible, okay? But something around there. If we take this on a weekly perspective here, and we look at our fib again, going off of this kind of fib that we have been respecting, if we stop here, it's very common to find support in one of three places, or maybe even four, okay? One, the 1886200, 2, the 2272, and 3, the 2618. So if Zcash goes to where I think it's going to go, it will pull back likely at least 40%, but probably more than that. So the really considerable targets, in my opinion, would be about $350 to $222. I'd like to now, because we're forecasting not just the pump, but the dump afterwards, I'd like to now make sense out of these levels. Okay, so we're gonna put a line there, we're going to put a line there, and we're going to see if there's anything in between these two white lines that could suggest us find support here. Okay, if we were to top off and pull back, what makes sense? Let's go. Well, prior resistance there, really throughout this whole zone, very well encapsulated from our last cycle's highs. So that it makes a lot of sense that if we break out here, we would find support in this range, right? Based off the fibs, based off the price action, it makes a lot of sense. Zcash, after it tops off above $870, between $870 and $930, will likely pull back to $350 or more to the downside, right? Likely it will. And again, I'm saying this to encourage anybody who's thinking about buying right here to maybe not do that. Maybe just wait. You want to buy Zcash that bad? Wait a month. Wait a month. You'll be happy. Back here, prior resistance. Back here, prior resistance as well. It's not as perfect back here, but it's a little sloppy, but still resistance right there on a closing basis right there, support right here. In this zone, there's some significance. So I really do believe, again, think of it this way. After we topped off here before, which is exactly where we're thinking of topping off now, where did we pull back to initially? Well, right here at 261, which is actually right in the heart of this range. And then we moved up. Might we do that same thing except continue this next time, right? Whenever we topped off here, did we go lower? We did. We went a little bit lower. Did we find support a little bit above? We technically did a little bit above. Anything and everything can happen, but I am thinking that once we top off from here, 674, once we go to about 870 to 930, somewhere in that range, we'll pull back to $350 to $220. That's my thoughts. And then we'll see Kumbaya and continue to rally going into 2026. I do believe Zcash has dramatically higher prices to go. I do believe that by the end of this cycle, anybody who's buying and holding now will make money. I believe personally that Zcash will top off somewhere between about $4,500 and $10,000. At a minimum, $2,600, but likely $45,000 to $10,000 is my guess. Okay, somewhere in there, but time will tell. And from here, that's anything from a 6x to a 15x potential. But from even the highest level of where I think we're going to drop to over the next month, it turns that 15x into a 30x. It turns that 6x into a 14x. So if you time this a little bit better, you can really amplify your returns a dramatic bit more. Anyways, I've got nothing else for you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, hit the like button, subscribe, take care of yourselves. I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.